Hi everyone, this is my list of 5 things to do to get started with your backpacking or camping gear. Stick around. Thanks for sticking around, guys. If this is your first time joining me, welcome to ATOS Outdoors. This is a channel I've created about my journey into backpacking, camping, getting outdoors. If these things interest you, then please click subscribe down here and follow me for more videos. I release 2 videos a week, every Wednesday and Saturday. Okay, so this is my list of 5 things to do to get started with backpacking or camping. So the first thing on the list is you really need to know what you need. So the first thing I would suggest doing is going online. So go online or find a list, or even create a list yourself if you have a little bit of knowledge, but get this list of the items that you need for backpacking. Okay, that'll be some really obvious things like a backpack, a tent, sleep system. It could be water filtration, it could be cookware, it could be clothing, it could be boots, it could be navigation, anything like this. But all of this, find a comprehensive list, and I will link one down below, or I might link a couple. It depends how many I find. But I know I've definitely found one from REI. So get a list of gear that will really help you with where to get started. So number 1, get a list of gear you need. Number 2 is check what you have already. So do an inventory of your stuff. Ask your family, check in your house, what do you have? You may have track shoes that will work in place of trail runners for getting started. You may have some nice pants that aren't made of cotton that will be great to wear when you're out hiking. You may have some breathable poly kind of shirts that work. You may have like some gym wear, like a wicking underlayer that could help. You may have a hat, you may have sunglasses, all these little things that you probably already have. So item number 2 is check to see what you already have on that list. Okay, number 3. So you've made a list, you've seen what you've got on that list already. So number 3 is to start looking for the pieces that you are missing. And one way I would suggest doing this is looking online for used items. Now, I do know that some of the big retailers like MEC and REI, they have garage sales or garage sales where you can pick up gear cheap. That being said, if you are just looking for your first few pieces of gear, what I would suggest is, if you've never camped or backpacked before, is try and be a little bit spendthrifty, because you don't want to invest hugely into a hobby that you may or may not like. Okay, so look for used gear online. Another great thing, so part 2, is to ask your friends. Do you have friends that go camping or backpacking? Ask them if they've got any spare gear that you can borrow. That is a wonderful, wonderful way to start ticking things off your list without having to spend and buy them. Okay, so ask your friends, see if they've got anything that they can lend you. Alternatively, see if they can recommend anywhere to get cheap gear. As I said before, online we have a local trading post on Facebook, and there's always bits and pieces up for sale on there. So that can be a great resource. Now, I guess part 3 is you could look at some of the big chain stores, Walmart, things like that, to fill any pieces that you need. Now, one thing to note about Walmart gear, specifically Walmart gear, is this is how I got started. I started with some Walmart gear, some Coleman stuff, and it's not bad, but it's heavier It's not necessarily as warm as similar things, depending on what you buy. I mean, the tents are super heavy, so just be cautious. If you're going car camping for the first time, it's not going to be a big deal. Buy heavy stuff, stick it in the car, no drama. But if you're going hiking or if you've got a bit of distance to walk, it is going to be a much more pleasant experience for you if you do not have heavy stuff, like super heavy stuff on your back. Also, if you're going out with someone else, make sure you split those things apart so that you're not carrying all the weight. So that was tip number 3, is look online or borrow from friends. Now, tip number 4, this one is, this is something that I did to start with. And tip number 4 is to really invest in some of the major items. So I bought an Osprey backpack. It's a 48 litre, the Osprey Kestrel backpack. I bought that, it was actually on sale, so I saved $50. I got that for about $200 from a local sports store. So investing into your big 3 items can be a good way to get started. The backpack, you could potentially use it for other things. You know, if you're going traveling and you're traveling relatively light, you want carry-on, you don't want a suitcase, then maybe you can use your backpack there. You can just use it as a day-to-day backpack. It's going to be pretty big. You might get some funny looks if you're rocking up to work with a big 48 litre backpack, but you get my drift. These items, they don't just have to have that one niche use. You can get other uses out of them. Things like sleeping bags, you might be able to pick one up cheap from somewhere, but again, you want a comfortable night's sleep to give you a good experience when you're there. If you go backpacking or camping for the first time and you have a terrible night's sleep, you're freezing cold, you're probably not going to want to do it again. So if you look at investing in some of these items, your sleep system, your sleeping bag, your sleeping pad, maybe you don't need to buy a pillow, bring a pillow from home, wrap up a down jacket or something like that. You know, you can have a bundle of clothes as a pillow. You don't necessarily need to buy a pillow, but it's comfortable. I have one, I like it, so maybe you wanna. Another item, maybe your tent. Maybe if you have a partner or a friend and you're gonna do this together, maybe you wanna club together and invest in a slightly more expensive tent. The 2 of you can buy it and share it. That being said, the tent I started with, the Tenton 2-person tent, I got it for $100, just over $100, and I can't fault it. It's a little heavy, but it's done its job incredibly well. Some of these deals for the cheaper pieces, you may be able to find on things like Amazon as well. Tip number 4, as I said, was maybe invest in some of the key items: backpack, tent, sleeping bag, sleeping pad. That way you'll have a good, comfortable trip. I guess if you're backpacking and camping, you know, you're going to have a good trip with your bag. If it's nice and comfy, you're going to have a good night's sleep in a decent tent with a decent sleep system. Okay, so that was tip number 4. Tip number 5 is invest little by little. Okay, so what I mean by that is you don't need to suddenly go out and put $1,000 or whatever onto your credit card to get started in backpacking. Okay, the other tips 1 through 4, they're going to get you started. Okay, tip number 5 is if you do enjoy this and if it is something you want to do, something you're passionate about, then start buying things little by little. And what I mean by that is maybe each paycheck, reward yourself by buying something on your list. See tip number 2. So maybe you've identified that you have a sleep pad, but it's not great. Maybe you have a closed foam sleep pad or an old yoga mat or something that you're using, and it's not that great. So maybe you want to wait till payday and then invest in a decent sleep pad, maybe a lightweight air mattress or something like this. You will be able to identify what you need. So one paycheck, you buy your sleep pad. The next paycheck, maybe you think, oh, you know, me taking this pot from home was great, but it's really heavy. So you invest in a lightweight pot, you know, an aluminium or a titanium pot. So every paycheck, reward yourself by treating yourself to some gear. So have your list, look at what items you need and tick them off. Okay? One paycheck buy one thing, the next paycheck buy the next. You know, don't put yourself into debt for something like this. But the way I did it was in the winter. Each paycheck, I bought myself camping gear or hiking gear or backpacking gear, whatever. And then when it came to the start of the season, admittedly, we're all kind of locked down and there's not a great deal happening, but I have a more robust kit because I've slowly invested it, and the money that I've put into it, it hasn't taken a huge dent out of my money or my savings. It's, as I said, a little by little, it gets you there slowly. So that was my five tips for getting started in backpacking. So number one, make a list or find a list, okay? Number two, check to see what you have at home and what you can already tick off your list. Number three, look online for used gear or borrow from friends. Number four is invest into your big items, your backpack, your sleep system, your tent. And number five is little by little. Do a little bit each paycheck to round out your gear. Okay, bonus tip number 6. Bonus tip number 6 is have fun, enjoy it. You know, for me, I find it's a nice escape from the connectivity that we have, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Netflix, things like this. So find your reason. You know, maybe it's also you want to get fit a little bit. That's another way I'm doing it. You know, if I'm getting out, if I'm camping, if I'm hiking with this heavy stuff on my back, it's going to help me lose a little bit of weight and stay healthy, or at least I hope. Okay, everyone, that was my 5+ bonus tips for how to get started with backpacking. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please click the subscribe button down over here. There'll be links in the description below for some of the items I've mentioned, and you'll see some pop-ups up here for other videos that I think may be of use to you. So once again, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up below. It helps with the YouTube algorithm and it will help me spread my channel and grow. Also, a big thank you to my first 50 subscribers. So thanks guys, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.